Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Question: what does luxury resale have to do with the conservation of luxury prestige? Question mark. Chanel plays a big role in this, by the way. Let's hit it. First, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already here on the tubes. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today and gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, Super Dacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. Thank you to my members and patrons who have already pledged. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. Join the cult, the Day Cult. You can also get your Day Cult merch. It's just a joke, obviously, but the merch really exists. It's a lot of fun. We're all wearing our little Day Cult uniform. You can find it at www.superdacob.com. Hi, chats. Where's my Day Cult? The Dacob. Hi, everybody. So listen, this is an article that I found on thecrimson.com. Very interesting article. Seriously, I enjoyed it a lot of food for thought. So it's entitled Luxury Resale and the Preservation of Prestige. And it starts off by saying that when it comes to replicas and fakes, there's this huge concern about them because they have been flourishing. Many luxury brands, from Louis Vuitton to Hermès, Dior, Chanel, they have concerns because there's a huge market out there for replicas, non-authentic goods. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, just my opinion, not rooted in any facts or truths, so everything's alleged. This concern was so big that Chanel, he pushed it a step further. And do you guys remember the lawsuit that happened with Chanel suing the Real Real, which is a reseller, basically of luxury goods, amongst other goods, and they sued them because they claimed that the Real Real was selling counterfeit Chanel items. As I said, everything's alleged. The Real Real countered the claim and said, no, we have authentication processes. I mean, how can you know that our bags are not authentic? I mean, you're not there to authenticate them. But also, we're going to countersue you. And they countersued, but they lost. So the Real Real tried to counter the suit because they said that Chanel allegedly was just trying to maintain the prestige of its brand by trying to block resellers from selling their stuff. Now, this is interesting. The luxury giant claimed that the Real Real, luxury giant being Chanel, claimed that the Real Real was guilty of counterfeit, trademark infringement, and false advertising, because obviously you are false advertising if you're saying you're selling something from Chanel that's not really Chanel, right? Amongst other charges. So there was even more charges than that. Now, but the Real Real said that their authentication processes are, perfect the way they are. But here's the twist. Chanel mentions explicitly in their complaint that it wanted not only to end counterfeits, but also to maintain the prestige of its brand. Let that sink in for a moment, because what this means is that Chanel is saying, I'm not just worried that you're going to sell fakes. I'm worried that anybody and everybody and their mother, uncle, and cousin can afford our stuff. We don't want everybody to have our stuff. The snobbery of luxury, honey. This is what the implication is in their lawsuit. What kind of, if you really read between the lines, that's what they have an issue with. The Real Real tried to countersuit, but ultimately the company doled out $11.5 million in a settlement. So while Chanel might have gone after the Real Real's authentication processes, what is lurking in the sidelines, the details of the case reveal the larger purpose of this lawsuit, and that would be keeping the brand away from non-luxurious second-hand marketplaces, which could damage its prestige. And you might say, no, they're going to sue anybody who does any second-hand sales. Well, this is where this article is very clever, and the person did their research, and they said, well, hold on. No, it's not true that they're suing everybody, because guess what? Chanel a couple of years ago partnered up with who? With Farfetch. So it's not like Chanel is fighting resellers everywhere they can find them. No, they're partnering with Farfetch. Interesting how the article mentions that they believe that they're partnering with Farfetch, not because Farfetch has a better authentication process, not at all, but because Farfetch has much higher prices, making the brand, again, exclusive and unattainable to most. You see, they don't like to be available and sold on the Real, where you could get a good deal on their brand. They want, if they're going to be sold, they want to control the narrative, and they want to go to a place where they're marking and hiking up their prices as high as possible. Now, isn't that interesting? So although Chanel showed its apparent distrust for authentication processes of secondhand shops, online resellers, they still invested into Farfetch while at the same time pursuing a lawsuit against the Real. So in a way, the Real could have technically have used this in court and said, no, they're not against, that's not the truth, that they're, that they want us to lose the lawsuit because of our authentication process, because we're a secondhand reseller. They're investing in Farfetch. They're also they also a secondhand reseller. Why are they partnering with them but suing us? Well, what seems to be the reason is the price tag. That the Real has lower price tags. So this way, by Chanel choosing to work with Farfetch, they create a higher barrier and separation between who can afford it and who can't, hence, in their mind, maintaining exclusivity and rarity of the product. Now, this is interesting to note because this did not destroy the Real. The Real still exists. You can still buy stuff on the Real, even though they settled out of court, allegedly. But more and more brands are discovering, hold on, there's a Farfetch resale is 50% higher than some other websites. Yes, Katie, their prices are insane. Farfetch is really, really high. And what they say here is that the brand... So since it's clear that luxury resale sites won't disappear, classic brands have started to work with them on their own terms. Now, the new strategy allows famous companies to maintain control over their credibility and prestige, and also, and here we get to another turning point, it projects a false image of sustainability to the public. Y'all, let that sink in as well. We know that all of these brands are talking about sustainability here, sustainability. They were working hard, and it's all greenwashing. We know deep down inside, it's all fake. They're just using it because it's popular to talk about it at the moment to make it sound that they're sustainable. Now they're also controlling the narrative and saying, we're investing in the secondhand reseller, so we're profiting off of the sales of our brand sold secondhand by this reseller. Plus, it's like super sustainable because, you're buying something that somebody else already used. But why does the article point out that this is greenwashing, that this is not in reality really sustainable? This is another plot twist where they say that the real problem in this circular marketplace isn't the actual resale sites, which attempt to pair sustainability with the demands of the market, but instead, the brands are trying to maintain their exclusive names. That's all they care for, right? And the fervor that these companies generate around their work is what causes thrift stores thrift store prices to rise, luxury resale sites to fake their labels, and consumers to spend exorbitant amounts of money on overpriced goods. Despite brands' concern about the reliability of luxury resale sites, it seems like their popularity will only grow. The industry is projected to hit $51 billion by 2023. Let that sink in. And the scandals surrounding resale sites have not deterred most consumers. And here's the other plot twist. And if anything, the partnerships resulting from some brands' concerns have encouraged the continued adoration of luxury products. Consumers continue to clamor for the goods of giant corporations, unable to see that companies would strongly prefer to make their goods exclusive and unsustainable. It is only if people abandon the worship of these brands, which are more interested in their prestige than sustainability, that the luxury resale market will lose its immense popularity. Unfortunately, a decrease in demand does not appear to be anywhere in sight. They're also saying that social media plays a part. A lot of social media influencers that are collaborating with the brands are also like saying, hey, and I bought this secondhand. Go check out Farfetch. Go check out Fashion File. Go check out Vestiaire Collective. Go check out The Real Real. Buy the stuff there. I've done this. Is sustainable. It's great. But they keep promoting the consumption of it. And I bought this and I bought that and I bought more. And so you're going to end up buying a ton of stuff secondhand from these luxury brands as well. That's not sustainable either. And the funny thing is that they keep growing in numbers. So there's still a lot of people who can afford buying this stuff full price in the boutiques, and they do. And a lot of people just want to wear it for one season because then it's démodé. So they sell it. They sell it off to these secondhand websites. And then you buy it. You keep buying. And they keep buying. And they keep reselling. And then you keep reselling. But the fact that brands like Chanel have expanded their collections to like 10 a year, when it only used to be like 2 and then 4, means that they are selling more and more. Bottom line. And where's that stuff going? But the paradox is this. Most of these luxury brands want to be exclusive. They don't want to flood the market with products that are going to ultimately diminish the value of their brand. But at the same time, they want your money. But at the same time, they make certain products unattainable. You know, you go to Hermes, you can't get the Kelly and the Birkin just like that. No, but they want your money. But they don't want to give you what you want. But they want your money. So you're going to start, how sustainable is that? You're going to start buying stuff you don't need at Hermes because you got to build your quota, your profile, your purchase history so that you will be offered a Birkin or a Kelly or a Constance or some other bag that you want that is a quota bag. And you're going to buy stuff that maybe you like, but some stuff you won't like, and then you're going to resell it. Somebody else is going to buy it. So it's Hermes in this case that's generating a non-sustainable environment where they're not giving you that one thing that you want to buy, but they're telling you, no, buy another 50 things before that you don't need. How sustainable is that? And then we're going to sell you the bag. Now, similar stuff is happening with Chanel. The more time passes and the more difficult it becomes to obtain certain desirable unicorn pieces every season because they keep them only for the valued customers that are return customers, repeat customers. So there's a lot happening here that is just not sustainable. But then what do? They do stuff like, I don't have it here right now, but I just did a Chanel unboxing with the bag. The paper bags. They had these luxurious, beautiful paper bags in the past, with beautiful handles and cotton camellias on the back. None of that. No, for the sake of sustainability, now you get these biodegradable bags with biodegradable paper handles that literally turn to mush after a day. The camellias are made of the camellias are made of paper, not fabric anymore. So, it's more sustainable. I'm like, no. It's still garbage, and you're producing garbage, and it's not more sustainable. It's just cheaper for you to make. bottom line. Because when I said, one day I remember, I said, can you please, I don't want the camellia on the bag because I want to put a bag in a bigger bag and the camellia just rubs off of stuff. I don't want it to scratch. And they're like, no, we can't do that. What the? Like, no, because we cannot be seen giving on cameras, giving you a Chanel bag after you've purchased something without it being conformed to how we have to deliver the purchased goods. The camellia has to be positioned above the Chanel logo on the bag, has to stick to it. I'm like, come on, what the hell? No, if you want a bag, it has to get the camellia stuck to it, I'm like, how sustainable is that? Like, listen, keep the camellia for someone else. I don't know. So I think bottom line, it's not going to end well. These brands want our money, but they don't want to give us the products that we really want. So it's going to come to a point where I think the market is bound to be so oversaturated where the desirability has to go down. Has to, unless you're not very consequent as a brand, extremely consequent, and you cut down production, and you really cut down production, and you say, you know what? We're not going to do 10 collections a year anymore. We're cutting it down back to 4, and we're going to produce less pieces. We're going to make them cost more to compensate, because we're producing less. Okay. But then hopefully the quality will be better if you're producing less. And then your desirability will exponentially grow because it will be very hard to get your pieces. And yet you play these games of, I can't give you this, I can't deliver that, that's going to take time. But somehow you manage to pay out your bosses, the Wertheimers, like around about $5 billion dividends in 2021. So you made money. Dividends means after you've earned all the money, after you've paid all your workers, you still had $5 billion left. That means you made a lot of money. That means people are buying. So you are selling products. So that means that a lot of people are buying. To generate that amount of money in a year means a lot of your product has been purchased. A lot. So how do you expect it to be sustainable if you've sold so much? And how do you expect to maintain desirability of the brand if you've sold so much? So there's a paradox there. Something is off. Something is terribly wrong. And I do feel we're like on a crash course, right towards that wall, that big cement wall waiting for us. And we're going to kind of crash into it because this is no way, shape, or form sustainable, y'all. And I'm not even talking about the environment. I'm talking about the sustainability of the desirability and covetability of these brands. Talk about Hermes. It's hard to get a Birkin and a Kelly in the boutique, but all you got to do is go into a consignment store, into a secondhand luxury store. They got a ton of them on their walls. Sure, you're going to pay a premium for them, but they're readily available. If they were really rare, you would not be seeing them in a plethora of colors, sizes, shapes, and materials readily available in most luxury secondhand stores and consignment stores. That's just the bottom line. If they were that rare, you would not be finding them so easily on secondhand websites or secondhand stores. You just wouldn't, but you can find them because they're not that rare. So I think the only power and strength that these brands have is to maintain the illusion that they're selling us of these certain products being rare. Right now, we're living in a societal structure where bags are a big thing. So you can't afford a full-on outfit at a brand, but you can buy their bag, and the bag has a big logo on it. So you can be wearing Zara from head to toe, but you got a Chanel Double C logo on your bag, and you're still wearing Zara from head to toe. So and you bought your Chanel bag on time. That ain't it. That ain't it. Now, I'm not throwing shade at who cannot afford from head to toe Chanel, but what I'm telling you is that's how they see it. The brands, they want you to have it head to toe. They want to keep you so that you buy everything with them. Full on look. The bag is just a cherry on the top. They don't want you to come in and only buy the bag. Now, if we lived in a society where, let's say, bags were not it, something else, like, for example, belts, random. I don't even like belts. I don't wear belts. But let's say we live in a society where the most covetable luxury piece is a belt. You best believe they would make them cost a lot. They would make them rare and difficult to obtain. And they would be the more expensive pieces. And everybody would be crazy. Oh my God, did you see the new belt? The new color, the new buckle? And they would make them unattainable. But it's somehow bags, because I think because bags are the most visible object that a person kind of wears, that identifies in our society their status symbol, like where they fit in. So like if you have a bag with a certain logo, certain doors open up to you, or so you think, or so brand marketing made us believe to think. Really sad structure if you think about it. I'm not talking about the few people who really love bags and collect them. Maybe they don't even wear them out and about. They just keep them at home and look at them because they really love them as objects. They have a connection to them. I'm not talking about the collector. I'm talking about a person who is going to buy a bag with a logo just so that they can go out and kind of show off that they can afford the logo. But then again, I repeat, like, okay, but you're wearing H&M from head to toe. Minus the bag, that is YSL. So you're falling into the illusion, but you're also playing an illusion on others. But people will notice. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, Coco Kitty, they love it, right? When their clientele adheres to their style codes. Giggling Chaos says the Hermès journey almost seems like MLM to me at this point. Oh, wait, what is MLM? Sorry, I'm really bad with abbreviations. Is that like a pyramid scheme thing? You have to invest X amount to get Y, but every now and then you hear about the one person who lucks out. Oh, yeah. It's like those pyramid schemes situations, multi-level marketing. Thank you, Coco Kitty. Leanne, and yes, it gives you confidence. It does. But we always look for things that give us confidence. Listen, let's be very clear here. I'm not judging a person who buys a bag but then is wearing, everything else is rags. I'm not. Look, everybody chooses something to give them confidence. It's not easy to survive in our society. People judge you all the time. If you're a kid, they're going to bully you in school. If you're at work, somebody's going to bully you at work. And that's actually called, there's a different name for it. When somebody is, help me out, you guys, mobbing. That's called mobbing at work. You're going out on the street. Somebody can, bully you. Oh, you have makeup on your eyes. They're going to call you the F word, this and that. There's always you always need something to boost your confidence. Like for me personally, it's perfumes. I feel naked if I leave the house without a perfume on. And it happened to me last week, very rare, because I was completely spaced out, because I didn't sleep enough, and then I had to run some errands, and I forgot to put perfume on. I left the house. I kid you not. The second I realized I had no perfume, I ran back home to put on some perfume. And then so somebody needs a perfume to make them feel more confident. Somebody needs a bag. Somebody needs a good shoe. Somebody needs a Rolex watch or whatever. Somebody needs to drive some big ass car to feel confident. I get it. Everybody finds their own way to cope and deal with the pressures of this society. And this society is no joke. It's a ruthless society. We first world countries pride themselves of having become super, acceptant, evolved, democratic, social. I'm like, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Our suicide rates are ginormous. People are so unhappy. Poverty rates are growing. People are bullying people, attacking people on the streets. It's terrible. Our society, girl, we got major issues. Major issues. So finding ways to feel more confident about anything in your life is one of those kind of desperate attempts that we make as human beings to make it through the day. So I get it. I'm the first to admit I have to do it too. I get it. But this does not mean that we should not sit here together and analyze the tricks that brand marketing plays on us to make us want to buy certain things, to make us believe that if we buy certain things in a certain way, that we will belong to a good group of people, a good community that is going to be acceptant, that it's going to reinforce you, stay with you. Who's going to stay with you? The second you show any sort of problem or complication, you're going to see who your true friends are. And trust you me, you're lucky if you can count your friends on one hand. On these 5 fingers you got on one hand, if you got 5 fingers on your hand. You're lucky if you got 5 friends. You're lucky if you got 1 friend. Otherwise, everybody else is going to turn their back. The second you have no more money, you're not bringing in the dough, the cash ain't flowing. Oh, sorry, I don't know. Who are you? Sorry. They're going to turn their back on you. Do you know what I mean? Jesus says, for me, it's an absolute status symbol. It makes me feel better about myself when I carry designer handbags and accessories also. Jason, I love how brutally honest you are. I'm very proud of you for saying that so openly and without having any trouble to admit your weakness. Because guess what, Jason? When you admit your weakness, that's the first step towards conquering it. Because once you've admitted it to yourself, that means you realized it. It means you're working on it. Sure, it's not a thing you can solve from today to tomorrow. You can't just say, oh, now I realize it. Okay, well, now I'm free from it. No, it's also an addiction. It's not easy to let go. Of course it's not easy. And we have the pressures of society always poking at us, and brand marketing always poking at us saying, no, you need this. You need this. Keep doing this. You need this. The cult, baby. I made this merch not just to make fun of the fashion bunker, but also to make fun of brand marketing because it is a cult. Brand marketing is the modern day cult. They don't call it a church, you know what I mean? But it's a cult because it makes you adhere to it and it makes you victim of it and it makes you crave it. Marketing is always exploring people's weaknesses. Yes, Kev, exactly. And exploring and ultimately exploiting. Exactly. First they explore, they find out what your weakness is, then they exploit it. That's basically 101 of brand marketing. And every brand has a brand marketing department. They're first going to fire their quality control before they fire their brand marketing. The brand marketing is the last to go before the ship sinks. Hermès has discriminated someone by what they are wearing, LOL, says Josh. Yes, they have discriminated me by what I'm wearing as well. Often. Jason says, I love all the compliments and stares I get when I carry my bags. I love the attention. But how far does that attention take you ultimately? Because, Jason, do they want to get to know you? Or do they just want to know how you got the bag? Or do they maybe just want the bag? And you're just as interesting to them as long as you keep showing a new bag. Are they going to give you the second of the day if they don't see you wearing a designer bag? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. How much are we giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt? Like saying, okay, wait, hold on. Do I have it in me? With my intelligence, with my wit, with who I am, with my personality. That should be enough to make me interesting to other people. But if other people don't care about me, but all they want to see is the surface, and there's this whole concept on social media of, praising the overconsumption, making it, yes, queen, more and more and more and more. But then like when a person, stops and for a second and says, well, hold on, let me be a little bit more conscious about this, then people start hating on you. Like, ew, what are you, Paul, all of a sudden? Excuse me? That happens. You know what I mean? And we should be enough. We should be enough for other people to like us or to not like us, because we can't all like each other, and that's okay too. But when we start adding all these layers on top, all these shells, masks, and they become more important than who we are inside, I personally believe that we start dying inside. We start losing ourselves. And that's what brand marketing wants. It doesn't want you to have character. It wants to be your cult. It wants to dictate to you what you like, what you need, and when you should buy it. And it wants to dictate to you how much you should spend for it. And it keeps going more and more and more until you lose yourself. You lose your self-worth. You don't know anymore who you are. You're just as worth as much as the newest collection that's out there that you want to buy. And that's when they win. Because they've made you a total victim to their marketing scheme. A Maptis says it's like armor, but we shouldn't mistake the armor for ourselves. Exactly. Ariana Sturla says, marketing is marketing. You feel like you always need the next new thing. Always. And listen, I'm just here like talking to you guys because, we know each other from the chats. We've seen each other sometimes in the chats. And I'm just kind of sharing, I'm brainstorming with you basically, because I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I'm free from, I'm not, I'm total victim to it myself. And, but I try to analyze it. I try to understand it so that I can have some sort of a fleeting chance and hope of fighting it myself and not falling always victim to it myself. And I have a feeling if within a community we talk about it openly, we do then stand a chance. There is hope. If we don't talk about it, if we shut up about it, you know how the bully works. The bully wants you to shut up. The bully wants to bully you, but the bully wants you to shut up while they bully you. Brand marketing is a bully. So when we talk openly out about this, it's when we stand up and unite and we say, well, hold on, no, back off, back the F off. I'm not letting you bullying me into submission yet again. So it's a conversation we're having here. I'm not here sitting judging, pointing fingers. I'm telling you, I'm pointing the finger at me first and foremost because I'm a victim to this as well. But acknowledging the problem is a huge step towards fixing it. Just my humble opinion. I hope I haven't ruffled anybody, or well, I always ruffle somebody's feathers, but I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. And Debbie, that's a good point. Debbie says you have to constantly be mindful. And this is exhausting. You do have to constantly be mindful. But you guys, it's exhausting to constantly have to be alert. You know, like those little gerbils? No, prairie dogs. You know how prairie dogs, they're not actual dogs. They're rodents that live in the prairie, like they dig holes in the ground. And those poor little animals, they burn such a huge amount of calories. Why? Because their whole life depends on being alert. If they're not alert, they're going to get killed by a predator. Brand marketing is the predator. Prairie dogs, you know, they're these cute little things. They like kind of stand up and then they're like kind of always looking around. They like stand on their hind legs and they lift their paws and they're like always checking the surrounding. Heaven forbid there was a predator. And they sound the alarm, they squeak, and then the whole family runs into the holes. They spend like 90%, maybe even more, of their day alert. Imagine the pressure, the psychological pressure of having to constantly be alert because someone's out to get you all the freaking time. This is the situation we're at. But since we don't have the strength and the energy because we got jobs and work and there's always something harassing us, so our guard is down, we don't have that mental capacity and energy to be alert 99% of the day. And that's where they get us. They get you when you're not alert. That's when they find a way to slither in between the cracks and they get to you. And it's exhausting to be alert all the time. I'm telling you, I know, I've tried it. And every time I try it, I freaking collapse after a couple of days because I'm like, oh my God, I'm hyperventilating. I get anxiety attacks. It's like, because you start noticing there's like a conspiracy theory in around every wisteria. You know? Because you're like, oh my God, that ad, it's actually telling me to do this. And they're doing that. No, don't look there. Don't look now. No, don't let that influence me. And if you never let your guard down, it exhausts you. Like, you become paranoid. So you can't live like that unless you don't become an animal, like a prairie dog. You know, they don't really have the intellect that humans have. So, they become very instinct. They're reduced to bare minimum. All of their energy is focused on survival. So there's no brain capacity there. We're different. Unless you don't want to become a little animal, a little gerbil, a little prairie dog, and you want to limit yourself to the bare minimal instinct of survival, then yeah, maybe you will have enough energy just to be alert. But you'll have no more resources for anything else, for a social life, for social gatherings. Human beings need contact with other human beings because the synapsi in our brains work and function because we are social creatures. If you isolate a human being and you let them live alone, they're going to die. They're going to get sick because we are social creatures, bottom line. Like, it's insane, y'all. Anyway, no, be Teflon. When they spray you, bounce it back, nothing sticks, says Coco Kitty. But even that requires energy. You know? T-Pal says, that's why I'm here to learn, because I'm never alert anymore. But T-Pal, and the older we get, the less alert we are. We get tired because we know. We've been there 1,000 times. And this is why, they always say, oh, the telephone schemes, email schemes, like usually, it's the elderly people that get scammed because they're more gullible. Their guard is down. They're exhausted. They've been going through it, through being alert their whole lives. Of course, when you get older, you're tired of always being alert. And that's why it becomes easier to trick an elderly person. Not because they're dumb. They're not dumb. They're just exhausted of always having to be alert. It is energy draining. Mimblack says, I'm the opposite. The more I see something on social media, less I want it. It's not just about social media. It's about everything. Bimblack, it's about going to the supermarket, deciding from which shelf to buy the food, which color you want to purchase, how they influence you to think which flavor you're going to prefer more than the other, where you're going to sit on the bus, on the train, in the taxi, who you're going to talk to. Everything is brand marketing, not just some influencer showing you a bag on social media. Yeah, it's not easy. You have to ignore many things to help. Exactly. It is draining. Seriously, you guys. We're just oversaturated, says Paige. To Vicky, from so many online sources, the amount of social media apps out there is just insane. Jason says, I want a Birkin 25 or 30. Any color, any leather, any hardware. I just need one. They see what I mean? Super Filthy says, to be honest, in my early 30s, but I am exhausted. Our current society is much more stressful than when I was 5. That's for sure. It is exhausting. And I've also noticed, quite frankly, the pandemic did not help. At the beginning of the pandemic, remember, we all had this hope, like, oh, we're going back to nature. Less cars are moving. People are not going to work. Home office. Nature is replenishing. This is an opportunity to start a new life. It just got worse. Now that we're coming out of the pandemic, people are aggressive, angry, really aggressive, borderline dysfunctional to a point where, like, psychotic is kind of a term I use very lightly, but people are less friendly than they used to be 2-3 years ago. we're in a state where we literally, in front of our very eyes, society is just kind of like disintegrating in the worst way possible. And it's sad. Um, Everybody's angry. Like, why are you so angry? Why are you so, what? Why are you so angry? I asked a person that a couple of weeks ago. They didn't know what to answer. She's like, I just am. I'm like, but why? It's this built up frustration, and people, did they just lose it? And that's the saddest part. They don't even know why. It just happened to them. Trina says, very, very aggressive. You watch the news, I think people have forgotten to be patient and kind. Totally. Yeah, exactly, giggling chaos. It is as if the slightest difference is worth lifelong hate to hate someone or hatred towards anyone. Oh yes, I just talked about this with my landlady, says Debbie. Paige says, as a society, we are only becoming less connected with our humanity. The pandemic only escalated that. I feel like it's just a matter of time before most people live their lives online entirely. That's also, that shift is happening as we speak. Scary. I do believe that there is also a kind of a counter movement to that with the younger generation, like the Greta Thunberg and co. They're kind of kids that are growing up with that need to go back to nature and utilize less technology. We might see some sort of devolution in terms of humans wanting to use technology in the future, because they just go like, you know what, technology only brought us disaster, let's go away from that. But then again, you need technology if you want to evolve the medicine, preservation of health, life expectancy, like for certain things you need technology. But then again, we also can learn from history. We also can learn from history how advanced society was, and then at a certain point we kind of went back in time when the church took over, coincidentally, and they made everybody more dumb than ever so that they can manipulate, Catholic Church in particular. The Inquisition. The Inquisition made people terrified of everything because it wanted to control them. Perfect brand marketing. Best brand marketing I've ever seen. Church brand marketing. Second one is political propaganda. Big example is what Hitler did in Europe. How he managed to brainwash the Germans is still beyond me to follow him. He wasn't even German. He was Austrian, by the way. That's marketing. Brand marketing. Propaganda. The Inquisition. Oh my gosh. Are you freaking kidding me? Now, the Middle Ages. This is a huge step back in terms of technology. Now, however, in many instances, history has debunked that the Middle Ages were this dark time. There was also a lot of productivity during the Middle Ages. Yes, true. Seeds during the Middle Ages were planted for a renaissance and for a rebirth of culture, art, and medicine. But during the Middle Ages, a lot was destroyed as well. A lot of knowledge got lost. A lot of the evolution that happened before got lost, and it had to be rebuilt again. So humans have this tendency of just canceling everything. Interesting that we also have cancel culture nowadays, huh? That's in a microscopic level. That is that sort of cancellation that happened in form of de-evolution or devolution from back in the day. And we just lose knowledge from one generation to the next. It's gone. And then you got to rebuild everything again. Make the same mistakes over again. Humans have this nasty tendency of repeating mistakes from the past. Just saying. You know what I mean? Anyway. Trina says, I grew up in the 70s, 80s, and we weren't so bombarded. We could breathe. A says, and that effect is across different cultures. Holy Grace says, love your eyes. Oh, thank you, Holly. Alex says, oh God, so hard to type. Susie Q says, I'll watch a rerun of a show and think you can't say that today. Oh, yeah. I mean, I just watched an interview a couple of months ago with Jennifer Saunders, the creator of Ab Fab. Now, most of us know Absolutely Fabulous, a TV show that was very popular in the 90s and early 2000s. And she said in that interview, she says, I couldn't, even in Great Britain, I could never get away with these jokes today. The political correctness would kill me. I would not be allowed. They would cancel me. Certain things that were intelligent jokes, they were not dumb jokes. They had depth. They were analytical towards society. They pointed a mirror to society. No. No, 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 no. Morally, not just anymore. And sure, we are society, we evolve, we also have to learn that certain things are offensive, and good that we learn that. So change also happens for the better, not just for the worse. But I have a sneaky suspicion that lately, most of the change happening has not been for the better. It feels like the majority of the change has been for the worst. But we are living in dark times, and we are, after all, coming out of a very depressing pandemic. So maybe our spirits have just been dented, and we kind of have to straighten them out again a little bit. But you never know. Anyway, I just thank you so much for listening to me blabber on all this time. This has been a long video. I hope you managed to stay until the end. And if you did manage to stay until the end, why don't you drop a little flame emoji in the comment section down below so that I know that you watched it till the end. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe if you haven't already and you like my content. Never give up on love. Bye.